opinion fuels hatred.
Can I just ask you again?
I want you to know that, and I want you to get that.
Okay, can I ask you again?
Because I get you have your opinion.
Yes.
I have mine.
If your opinion's wrong. Do you know what Winston Churchill said? Churchill said, he actually said Islam in a man is like rabies in a dog. Most Muslims treat Islam like a buffet. I like that bit, I'll ignore that bit. I like that bit, but the bits that they ignore, so when we say good Muslims, they're the non... What's that?
You think they're good Muslims, is it?
Yeah, non-practicing ones.
All right, so this might be one of, if not the best Tommy Robinson speech I've ever heard. If you don't know who Tommy Robinson is, he is a British nationalist. He's been to prison before. He has talked about the Pakistani grooming gangs, the Muslim grooming gangs. He comes from one of the poorest cities in England called Luton. I had him on my podcast. You can go check it out by just searching Tommy Robinson on my channel. I flew to England to do it. I went to his United Kingdom rally, the first one he ever did. Supposedly there were several million people there. It was the biggest rally in British history. So we're going to check out this speech. Before we do, make sure to subscribe, like the video, leave your comments. Follow me at Rafi the Realtor on Instagram for all of your residential real estate needs in the Miami and greater South Florida area. And it would mean the world to me if you took a moment to go to the Buy Me a Coffee link in the pinned comment or the description and donate whatever you felt like donating. Thank you so much for watching. Let's get into it.
This is a presentation I gave to members of Congress about 3 weeks ago. Recently in Texas, you had a 95% vote back from the Republican primaries about banning Sharia. This is going to become such a discussion topic in the United States. It's going to become an election winner. So I want to start at the beginning and go through start to finish so that you understand what Islam is from start to finish. So I'd like to say good evening and thank you. Thank you, America. I'd like to thank the people that made it possible for me to get into the United States, home of the brave and land of the free. I want to thank Elon Musk, because Elon Musk gave me back my voice on X. He gave the British public back the opportunity for free speech. And I'd like to thank the brave students who have come here today and the gentlemen who have put on this event. I'm pretty disappointed. I think I'm slacking. Where are Antifa? Well, I must be getting weak in my old age. I'd expected some Antifa. But I want to speak to you today about the dangers of Islam and the dangers of Sharia law. But before I start, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Tommy Robinson. This may annoy some people, but I'm probably the most watched journalist in Britain, possibly Europe, and maybe one of the most watched journalists in the world. Not bad for a lad from Luton town. I'm 43 years old. When I was born in 1982, in my town, there was one mosque. There's now 45. I don't talk about what I've seen or what I've read. I talk about a life experience of a town that has changed beyond belief, and it hasn't changed for the better. So let me just show you a quick video from my hometown.
British police go to hell! British police go to hell!
Speak to me like that. I wasn't sure. This is my hometown as well.
All right, let's stay again.
No, I'm walking.
Okay.
I am walking. No, I can do what I want.
Okay, you can.
That girl's just... I don't mind. Point away. Point away. Because you're not scaring me. Do you think it's fair that you should say British police need to burn in hell?
That's a freedom of speech. If you wish to say it, you can say it.
In Islam, doesn't it say that you have to respect the law of the land that you're living in? No. I thought it did.
That's my hometown, the town I love, the town I've seen change. Let me just show you some of the terror plots that have come out of my town. The Luton Army Base bomb plot, the 2020 London attack, the Stockholm bomber, who was a suicide bomber who came to the UK from Sweden and went and blew himself up in Sweden. The 7/7 suicide bombers killing 52. The fertiliser bomb plot, the gas limos plot. It's the base and the home of Al Masradeen, who their head office was in my town. That's one of the world's most known terrorist organisations. It was the home of 12 ISIS recruits. His entire family went to join ISIS during the time of the Caliphate. They were all living off the benefit state in Britain, and they left to join ISIS. Luton Muslims died fighting for ISIS. I knew Abu. I knew him growing up. He was a fighter who died. Another one, Al-Bratani. He went and blew himself up in another suicide attack. Luton has a population of 200,000 people. Now, I could show you and stand here for 10 minutes showing you terrorist after terrorist after terrorist. What I'm showing you is that out of a 50% population of 200,000 people, that's my town. Yeah, that may explain why I have been fighting against the Islamification of Great Britain and all that means since 2004, but most people know of my activism since 2009 when I started a street protest movement called the English Defence League. In that time, there have been 12 or maybe now 13 terror plots or intelligence-led plots to take my life. It's called, in the UK, it's called an Osman warning. It's when the government sit you down and they give you intelligence saying, look, we have intelligence, someone's planning to kill you. I've had Al-Shabaab. Most recently, just 2 weeks before I came here, I was named in a publication from the ISIS terror manual. Oh, this is 6 gentlemen. They're doing 30 years in jail. They got caught with guns and bombs on their way to kill us. They got there 2 hours late. It's a crazy story. There's a video of them walking through the square 2 hours after we were there. That's this month's. I'm gutted because I've got a big double chin, but that's this month's terror manual from ISIS. Kill the one who disrespects the Prophet. By the end of this, I'm going to give you every bit of information about the Prophet. You're going to know who he was and what he actually teaches. And that's what they don't want you to know. That's why they don't want you to ask questions. So, apart from this stuff, the biggest challenge to me, other than the threats, other than the violence, has been from the British government. Because, you see, the UK government, anti-free speech, Keir Starmer and his crew of tyrants, and all previous governments, the Tory party, both governments in the UK, they have pushed the lie of multiculturalism and they've chased after the Muslim vote, hoping for the left-Islam alliance. We're seeing this happen now all over the world. The left are useful idiots for Islam. It's now reached a point where our leaders cower in fear, unwilling and unable to stop what is coming. Everything we hold dear, everything, liberty, equality under law, our democracy, and the very nation itself, everything is in peril. Now, the first thing I need to say is I'm going to speak about Islam, the doctrines, the ideology. I'm not going to talk about Muslims. Some people conflate the two, and they don't seem to be able to separate the two. If you hate every individual Muslim, it's a problem, because there's some wonderful Muslims. I've met some beautiful Muslims growing up. I'm not going to talk about Muslims. I'm going to talk about Islam. And it's our God-given right to talk about Islam. It's our God-given right to look at the teachings, to understand the teachings. We'll get onto why you need to know the teachings, because most of them talk about how you, as non-Muslims, should be taught. I don't hate Muslims. I do despise the ideas contained within Islam. I want to cover 3 topics. Firstly, foundational ideas within Islam. It's critical for us to understand these. And many people watching this at home, many of my supporters, they already will know a lot of them. Then there's the strategies of Islam, the strategies that Islam adopts in order to gain its goals in Western countries. And finally, the ugly reality of Sharia. I will show you all how Islam, not Islamism, not extremist Islam, not any other political Islam or any other word invented by Western politicians, but Islam is incompatible with Western civilization and democracy. Not just my view, but that's the view of every Muslim who truly follows the teachings of Islam. Now, foundational ideas. Before beginning a discussion about Islamic doctrine, it's important to define what is Islam. Failure to do this results in the usual accusations. I have a nice Muslim friend. Okay? Tommy, you don't understand anything about Islam. You're not a scholar. So we have to understand what is Islam. Of course, some people will straight away claim this is Islamophobia, another made-up word. I'm sure all of you watching in this room and watching at home, you can decide on your idea of what I'm about to show you. Defining Islam protects us from being fooled by those who would have us believe Islam is a religion of peace. Do you know the term Islam is a religion of peace? Until George W. Bush said it after September 11th. It was never said. No Islamic leader, no religious leader will get on and prove your American leaders, your founding fathers, knew what Islam was. But it protects us from those who wish to tell us it's just a minority of Muslims who hold extreme views. When we talk about Muslims who hold extreme views, this is Pew Research, yeah? So we talk about Sharia law. And people talk about, the minority, and it's the minority. 99% of Muslims in Afghanistan want Sharia law. 91% in Iraq, 89% in Palestine, 84% in Pakistan, 71% in Nigeria. The majority of Muslims worldwide want Sharia law. That means that every 100 Afghanis you've brought into your country, which Joe Biden opened your borders up to hundreds of thousands, out of every 100, 99 of them want Sharia law. They don't get to the American border or the British border or Europe's border and say, you know what, I'm going to leave all my views at home. They bring those views with them. It's part of their migration, part of the Islamization. And let's see how many of them believe in... I could do this for apostasy. I could look at all their views, but we simply don't have time for this presentation. Stoning as punishment for adultery. Yeah, 89% of Pakistanis believe stoning's a sufficient punishment. 89. So every 100 you let in, 89 from Pakistan, which you've opened your borders to Pakistan. 50% of my town back home is Pakistani. 50%. Yeah. Well, 89 out of every 100 think stoning a woman, digging a hole in the floor and smashing rocks at her is acceptable. 85% in Afghanistan, 55% in Bangladesh. You can see there a majority think it's acceptable. A majority want Sharia law. But then for those who want to say it's a minority of Muslims, let me just see this.
So I will ask you, everyone in the room, how many of you are normal Muslims? You're not extremists, you're not radical, just normal Sunni Muslims. Please raise your hands. Everybody, mashallah, subhanallah. Okay, take down your hands again. So it's not just these radical sheikhs then. Allahu Akbar. Next question. How many of you agree that the punishments described in the Quran and the Sunnah whether it is death, whether it is stoning for adultery, whatever it is, if it is from Allah and His Messenger, that is the best punishment ever possible for humankind. And that is what we should apply in the world. Who agrees with that? Allahu Akbar. Are you all radical extremists? SubhanAllah. So all of you are saying that you are common Muslims. Allahu Akbar. How many of you just go to these normal masajids in Norway, the normal Sunni mosques? Please raise your hands. Allahu Akbar. So what's the politicians gonna say now? What's the media gonna say now? That we're all extremists? We're all radicals? We need to deport all of us from this country? SubhanAllah.
Yeah, Mohammed, that's exactly what we are saying. That's exactly what we are saying.
That has got to be the most brain dead way of trying to. What are you even getting at, idiot? It's not like some of us are extreme. We are so extreme that that's the norm, right, guys? Yeah, right. And that should be acceptable because all of us believe it and that's the standard, right, guys? Are you... There's no IQ. There's no IQ. It's not there. It's just not there. 3 Nobel Prizes for over 1 billion people. Islam exists to remind the Jewish people and the Christians to be what God wants us to be. The only reason there are nice components in Islam is because they adopted the components of Judaism. Like the more I realize, the more we go into this era of social media and AI, the more I realize God brought Islam to the world as a way to course correct the rest of the world. That's it. And the Muslims who notice it, who understand that, are going to move away from Islam. They're either going to move away from religion altogether, or they're going to convert to Christianity. Some might convert to Judaism, but you're going to see fewer. You're going to see fewer. Much fewer Muslims in the coming years. Like that is, I'm very confident about that.
Look, these are not minority views. That's just a start. They're not minority views. And if they were minority views, tell that to the citizens in Lebanon, the citizens in Iran or Afghanistan, countries seized by a small number of fanatics. This is the best explanation for the minority argument I've ever seen.
So why should we worry about the radicals, 15 to 25%? Because it is the radicals that kill. Because it is the radicals that behead and massacre. When you look throughout history, when you look at all the lessons of history, most Germans were peaceful. Yet the Nazis drove the agenda. And as a result, 60 million people died. Almost 14 million in concentration camps. 6 million were Jews. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. When you look at China, for example, most Chinese were peaceful as well. Yet the Chinese were able to kill 70 million people. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. On September 11th in the United States, we had 2.3 million Arab Muslims living in the United States. It took 19 hijackers, 19 radicals to bring America down to its knees, destroy the World Trade Center, attack the Pentagon, and kill almost 3,000 Americans that day. The peaceful majority were irrelevant.
The wonderful Bridget Gabriel there, yeah? It also, understanding start to finish, which this presentation will help you to do, it protects us from those who tell us Islam is just another harmless faith, a harmless faith that should be ignored, a bit like you do the Amish. It would be a fatal mistake. Why? Because Islam is not religion. Islam is a political, hostile, totalitarian ideology with a religious component. It seeks to conquer and dominate every aspect of private, public, and national life. Those points include the judiciary, religious compliance, public order, public morality, defence, war, security, treasury, oil and mineral resources, the media, education, health, agriculture, infrastructure, that's water, electricity, roads, charity, spoils of war. All these are departments of an Islamic state. It's not a religion. But let me start at the very beginning. 1416 years ago, Muhammad declared he was receiving revelations from Allah. That's Islam's God. Allah told Muhammad he was to tell us that he was sent as a messenger of Allah, and we are to believe in Allah and in Muhammad. See Quran 7:158. So believe in Allah and his messenger, the Prophet. It all hinges on this. Muhammad says these are the words of God, and the words of God say we must believe in Muhammad. In other words, believe me, I'm hearing voices. Allah also tells Muhammad he is the perfect moral example for all of the world at all of the time. That's Quran 3:31, 68, 4, 33, 21. So how can we find out about this perfect example of moral excellence? How do we follow the Prophet Muhammad? Well, a critical part of following Muhammad is the Sunnah. That's the way and the life of Muhammad. And this is recorded in the Hadiths. The Hadith are verbally transmitted records of the teachings, the deeds, and the sayings, the silent permissions, and the disapprovals of Muhammad. They are a critical source of Sharia law. And the authority of the Hadith comes from the Quran, 24:54. Obey Allah and obey the messenger. So whatever Muhammad says in his life, whatever he did in his life, that's the perfect example, which comes from the hadiths. There's 6 major hadiths, or worldwide recognized hadiths. They all start with the word sahih, which means authentic in Arabic. Finally, we have the biography of Muhammad, which serves as a historical record of the Prophet's life and the early history of Islam, and it provides us another reference for Sharia law. Incidentally, all of these things, the hadiths, the Quran, everything, they weren't wrote down till 200 years after Muhammad's life. So what is Sharia? Sharia is Islamic law as defined by the sacred texts, and it's for all of mankind. That includes every one of you. Sharia law is not just for Muslims, it's for every one of you, and it's eternal for all of time and all of places. I want to highlight, Sharia supersedes all human law, including all national constitutions, including your American Constitution, all legal systems, all international agreements. Sharia law comes first. And Muslims must not give allegiance to any person, any institution, any country, any governing law, other than that which is ordained by Allah, and that is an Islamic state with Sharia law. Have a look at this.
Every Muslim on earth believes in the Sharia of Allah. Every Muslim on earth believes that democracy is evil and Sharia is the good.
They are on a mission to destroy the Western civilization, the liberal democracy, and everything it represents.
Say it loud and say it clear. We support Hezbollah here. We support Hezbollah here.
Look, Islam will enter every household, whether you like it or not. Donald Trump, inshallah, soon you will see we have a plan in place to go visit him.
A nation state will always fail for Muslims.
We would support our brothers in Iraq. That's the only way. So you want to defend America? We would not defend America.
Not your democracy, not your liberalism, not your capitalism, not your any other ism that man has invented, other than what Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wrote.
America is the cancer. America, the American government, secularism, democracy, capitalism, these are cancers.
We stand in full solidarity. We stand in full solidarity with the Islamic Revolution. With the Islamic Revolution.
What we as Muslims want to implement here in the United States, we believe the Constitution should be replaced by the Quran.
First move that I will do, I will abolish the Constitution and I will establish the only logical and rational Constitution, which is the Quran and the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
That's right, they will do away with your constitution. They will use democracy to end democracy. Do you know how easy it was? There's lots of presentations here that I sat. They're not hiding it. Do you know all of these videos? They're not secretly, covertly recorded. They're put up on their social media pages, on Facebook. In every state.
Another thing that I believe, as somebody who just believes in God, and to me it's just logical, is if the West does not adopt a, to some extent, conservative viewpoint. Now, that doesn't mean we shouldn't keep church and state separate. But if the Western countries do not start to build strong, respectable cultural values, I do think religion to some extent should come back, but prideful people, strong, mentally, physically, none of the LGBTQ trans things in schools, just male and female. Women respect themselves, men respect themselves, we value marriage, we value family, things that allow for strong, cohesive. There needs to be that return to the Western culture. And what that does is that helps fight off the intolerant, theocratic Islamic way of life. But when you lose that value in the West and you become completely woke and progressive, that's when you start to invite that Islamic indoctrination in, because you're so delusional and you don't have your own moral principles that becomes your moral principle, because human beings naturally crave structure. We crave some extent of hierarchy. Most human beings need to follow something. Most human beings are not leaders. So if you cannot create a structure, they're going to go find it elsewhere. All these woke progressives, they are still searching and yearning for leadership. So if you're not going to create the leadership for them, they're going to find it elsewhere. And they're going to fight their own government and support a government and a way of life that's far less tolerant than what they have now. But they're too stupid. They're too void of moral character to understand that. And unfortunately, they'll only understand it once it's too late, and they're getting jailed, hanged. By the way, it is hanged, not hung. Unfortunately, that's what it is. So again, I say Islam exists in the world to help people course correct, to help the rest of the world understand, wait a minute, I need to stand up. I need to figure out what is good and what is right and what is wrong in the world. Because otherwise, the Muslims are going to come remind me. And I don't want that. So this is what people have to understand. Israel understands this because it hasn't had the choice. Unfortunately, Americans are too busy pointing the finger at Israel that they're not truly understanding what's really going on. And unfortunately, the reason Jews get so much smoke is because there are too many Jews that are part of this woke progressive shit. In Hollywood, pushing crap in Hollywood. There are Jews in the trans woke nonsense. This is all part of it. You might think I'm crazy. You might think I'm some religious fanatic. I'm not even very religious myself, but I am very spiritual. I believe in God. And to me, there's no doubt. To me, there's no doubt. There's a higher power, and he has a plan, and he wants the world to work in a certain way. And when the world does not operate in the way that God wants, bad things happen. This is how it is. And this is why Jews have been punished so much throughout history, is because we have a bigger responsibility. That's he chose us to be a light unto the nations, and we are not doing our job. We get punished. It's the reality. This is the truth. A lot of people don't want to come to a lot of Jews don't want to accept that reality, but that is the reality.
In every mosque across the United States, talking of conquest, infiltration, deception, talking of ruling and governing and subjugating the non-Muslims of the United States of America. And here are Muslims, members of parliament in the UK, swearing by Allah on the Quran in our parliament. This isn't just happening. So every MP, and we're going to understand why this is a problem when you hear what Islam is, you see what Sharia is, and you see the goals and intentions and the teachings of what Islam tells them they must do.
I swear by Almighty God that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to her. I swear by...
Also, our council meetings now across the country are opened up with Islamic prayer, not Christian prayer. And this is coming to the United States.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. First of all, thank you to the Chamber, to all members. This is the Islamic call to prayer.
You think they're trolling us, wouldn't you? You think they're trolling us? With most of it, it's like, really? This is happening. It's happening in America. It's happening in New York, it's happening in Mandani, it's happening with your congressman. To give you another example of Islamic supremacy in Sharia. You had the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which is all the world's countries coming together to sign the Declaration of Human Rights in 1990. Let's all agree we must protect human rights. Do you know what the Islamic countries done? They separated themselves from the rest of the world, 45 of them. And they created the Cairo Declaration. So they said, yeah, we'll sign up to human rights so long as all rights and freedoms are subject to Sharia and Islamic law. So don't be fooled by the nonsense of Islamic nations signing up to human rights, yeah? Because as long as they fall in line with Sharia law, there are no human rights in Sharia law, okay?
All right, so we're going to stop it here. It's a long video, so I highly recommend you all go and watch the full episode. It's by Uncensored America. You can go to Tommy Robinson's page. It's up there. Leave your comments. What you think about Islam overall. What do you think it's a threat? Do you think there's just a small number of people? What are your thoughts? Make sure to subscribe, like the video, leave your comments. Follow me at Rafi the Realtor for all of your South Florida real estate needs. Now it's interesting. I am a real estate agent. I understand that there are some people that aren't going to want to work with me because of my views. But the reality is I don't come from a place of hatred. To me, if you have certain beliefs, and that could apply to whether you're Jewish, Christian, or Muslim, if you have certain beliefs that don't allow you to cohabitate with other people in a way where you have your beliefs and they have theirs, then you have no place for your belief system in a place that's free. Okay? Now, what Tommy's saying, because a lot of people that are Muslim may be watching this, there are no doubt peaceful people that follow Islam. But his point, which is just a fact, is those people simply don't follow the religion the way it's supposed to be followed. They decided to adopt a watered-down version. Now, if every Muslim did that, we would have no problems. But the reality is the only way it is peaceful is if you ignore the fundamental principles. That's it. That's just the reality. Judaism also has violent components. Christianity has violent components. The vast, vast, vast majority of the people in those religions do not follow those ways of life. And the difference also with Judaism is we don't proselytize. Being that we don't proselytize and we don't seek to convert, we do not have a desire to conquer. Despite what everyone likes to say about Israel, it has no desire to do so. It just wants to be safe. Anyhow, with that said, I look forward to you tuning into the next episode. Until next time, peace.